Remember that weird feeling as a kid when the clocks changed? It was like a mini time travel adventure right in your own home. One minute you're playing outside and the next your parents are telling you it's bedtime an hour earlier or later. Confusing, wasn't it? Yeah, it's called daylight saving time, and it's still a thing. Twice a year we all collectively decide to mess with our clocks. In the spring we spring forward and lose an hour of sleep, but gain an extra hour of daylight in the evening. In the fall we fall back and get that hour of sleep back, but lose some evening daylight. Basically we mess with the clocks to squeeze more daylight out of the day. The idea is to make better use of daylight during the longer days of summer so we can enjoy more sunshine in the evening. It's like a little trick we play on ourselves to make the most of the daylight hours. Don't ask me why, it's a long story. But it involves a lot of history, politics, and even some science. It's not just about saving daylight, it's also about saving energy and making our lives a bit more efficient. It all started way back when Benjamin Franklin was hanging out, collecting lightning in his underwear. Okay, maybe not underwear, but he did suggest shifting sleep schedules to save candles. He thought it would be a clever way to make the most of natural light and reduce the need for artificial lighting. Fast forward to World War I and boom, Germany makes it official to conserve energy. They needed to save fuel for the war effort, and shifting the clocks seemed like a good way to do it. Other countries quickly followed suit, and daylight saving time became a global phenomenon. The rest of the world was like, hey, that's a pretty good idea, and jumped on board. It wasn't just about saving energy anymore, it was about making the most of the daylight and improving our quality of life. Except for those rebels in Arizona and parts of Indiana, they said no thanks to the time warp. They decided to stick with standard time all year round, avoiding the biannual clock changes, and honestly, who can blame them? It can be a bit of a hassle, so twice a year, we all get to experience a little bit of time travel thanks to daylight saving time. Whether you love it or hate it, it's a quirky part of our modern lives that keeps us on our toes. Alright folks, get your Sharpies ready. In 2025, the magical time-traveling event known as Daylight Saving Time begins on Sunday, March 9th at 2 a.m. Remember, spring forward, it's like a mini jet lag without the fancy vacation. Then, just when you finally adjusted to the new normal, it's time to fall back on Sunday, November 2nd at 2 a.m. Yes, we get an extra hour of sleep, but at what cost? Seriously, why does time have to be so complicated? It's enough to make you want to hibernate until spring. So the million-dollar question, or should I say the daylight-saving question is, why bother? Why do we go through the hassle of changing our clocks twice a year? Well, the supposed reason is to save energy. The idea is that by having more daylight in the evening, we reduce the need for artificial lighting and thus save electricity. More daylight in the evening means less need for artificial light, right? This means people can enjoy outdoor activities longer without relying on electric lights. Sounds good in theory, but studies are about as clear as mud on whether it actually works. Some research suggests that the energy savings are minimal or even non-existent. Some say yes, some say no, and some just shrug their shoulders and go back to watching cat videos on the internet. It's a topic that has sparked endless debates and discussions. But hey, at least we get to enjoy those long summer evenings, right? The extra daylight gives us more time to relax and unwind after a long day. Barbecues, sunsets, and the sweet, sweet taste of freedom. There's something magical about those extended evenings that makes everything feel a bit more special. Or maybe just a slightly sunburned nose. So, whether you love it or hate it, daylight saving time is here to stay. At least for now. Let's be real, changing the clocks is about as popular as a root canal. Twice a year we find ourselves fumbling with our clocks, phones, and microwaves, trying to remember if we're supposed to spring forward or fall back. It's a ritual that leaves many of us scratching our heads and wondering why we still do this. Sure, some folks love the extra evening sunshine. It's perfect for those late beach outings or evening picnics with friends. Others, not so much. For them it's an unwelcome disruption that messes with their evening routines and throws their internal clocks into chaos. They're the ones stumbling around in a sleep-deprived haze for weeks. The sudden shift can feel like a mini jet lag, making mornings tougher and coffee consumption skyrocket. It's a struggle just to get through the day without nodding off. And don't even get me started on the parents of young children. For them, daylight saving time is a special kind of torture. Little ones don't understand why their bedtime has changed, and it can lead to cranky kids and even crankier parents. Trying to explain to a toddler why bedtime is suddenly an hour earlier is like teaching a goldfish to play the ukulele. It's an exercise in futility that leaves everyone frustrated and exhausted. So, is daylight saving time a brilliant idea or a relic of the past? Honestly, who knows? Some argue it saves energy and makes better use of daylight, while others say it's an outdated practice that causes more harm than good. It's one of those things we just have to accept, like pineapple on pizza or the fact that Crocs somehow became fashionable again. Whether you love it or hate it, daylight saving time is here to stay, at least for now.